Hello, listeners, patients, and or Clear Minds employees. Chris here. Thanks so much for joining us for this Q&A. We are really excited to bring this to you and had a blast answering all of your questions. So much so, in fact, that recording this took much longer than we had originally planned. This Q&A was supposed to be split into two parts. The first part would have featured some of the cast, and the second part would have had another handful of amazing people. However, part 1 of the Q&A has been divided even further. So, enjoy Q&A part 1-A. And, of course, a huge shout out to our patrons: Alexa Lynn, Callie Harlan, Timothy O'Keefe, Wicked Encounters, Yanai Ravid, and Alex Peltier. As always, stay safe, stay sane.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Clear Minds Q&A Part 1. This is our first ever, and my name is Celine Gray, she, her, and I will be serving as your host. Up till now I've been serving behind the scenes, working with the social media, but in the future I will also serve as the voice of... Now, we're going to go around the table and introduce everyone who's going to be participating in the Part 1 due to space and schedule and constraints. This is why we had to split it up.
Hi, I'm Christopher George, I think so today. You may know me as Charles Talbot, as well as a couple other random monsters and voices throughout the series. I'm also the showrunner, the primary showrunner, writer, and creator of this project.
My name is Peter O'Keefe. I play... Peter O'Keefe.
Oh, it's not O'Keefe?
No, it's not. I play Dr. Gavin Olin, Key, and Caliban, as well as not Olin, I believe. We can say that as well. And I'm just the local fuckboy that lives in Chris's basement.
Oh, I also forgot he, him for pronouns for me, by the way.
Yeah, same. He, him.
My name is Dakota Hamlin. I am the voice of Lucian Donahue, Marshall, and Roxanne Lawson. Pronouns he, they, him, whatever. Whatever works. Yeah.
And I am Dalton Lewis. I play Eli. I also play other characters such as Owen Doyle. I play Noah. I play... Cameron Daly and some other voices here and there. I am also the co-showrunner for the Patient Files and a main showrunner for the HQ Investigations for those who are interested in on the Patreon. I go by he, him as well.
Oh, and of course, how could I forget my extremely pivotal roles thus far of barista and hotel manager, if you're an HQ Files listener. With that out of the way, we're going to move on to the questions. First batch of questions is going to be coming from Allie on our Discord. We're starting with one for Dakota. Quote, I want to know what Lucian's power is, or if he was just being affected by the police in episode 16.
Lucian's power is...
Oh, the suspense is killing me.
Very Lucian of you.
Do we put in spoilers or
So, in terms of spoilers, keep it very, very vague. I think a lot of this has been kind of answered.
Oh, yeah. Okay, then let's just go full bore into it. Lucian's power is destruction in and of itself. We don't quite yet know what triggers them. I do, of course, because I'm perfect, let's be real here. But, yes, no, it is to deteriorate, rot, wear, and destroy. What was the second part of the question? Was there a second part?
The second part was, or if he was just being affected by the police in episode 16.
Oh, yes. Him being a resident of the city, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, me being Lucian, he was indeed being affected by the police.
I think they're referring to he saw unique faces on them.
Yeah. Or, wait, I thought that was... Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, it was Talbot who saw that they were all carbon copies.
Saw the facade.
Or was it more so the power wasn't a thing from the police? Or,
Yeah, it was... He was affected by the police. He didn't have a way to circumvent that, but, yeah.
Yeah, he did use his power to destroy the gun, in case that's missed on the listeners. during that closet scene.
All right, I think we can move on to the next question, which is for our writers. How exactly does one get into the city?
Ooh, so I like to think that there are multiple ways within the city. Obviously, it's kind of already been discussed in the main podcast that there are these cracks that lead in and out, and that is like the primary way. But I do think that it's very like fairy circle. Like you can get lost whether you're driving or walking through a forest and just end up there without having to go through a rift. And even if you did, you wouldn't remember it because the way the rifts work, as explained by Dr. Beckett. At least that's my take on it. I don't want to word of God it yet.
I'd like the idea that, like you said, Chris, like they can just wander in as well. Like, you're in the city now. Good luck.
So sorry about that. Learn to live with it.
Also, I guess another way in is being born there.
I got on the wrong Spirit Airlines flight and ended up there.
It is Spirit, so.
You had to, there were certain risks. What they didn't tell you was all of them.
That's what you get for flying coach, baby.
What do you mean?
Lucian would never.
Absolutely not.
At least United spared you when they threw you out.
Oh boy.
I mean, I like to think the first. Are there even like first like? Is there even like seats like that in a Spirit airline?
The first class?
Yeah, is there first class?
There's business.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
They
call it
just
business.
upgrade your chair just enough to be comfortable.
they give you a cushion.
Also, Spirit, don't sue us.
Or United.
With what more?
Let's move on to the next question. Another one for the writers. How does Clear Minds know of the city if you get targeted once you're aware?
Okay, so this is kind of encroaching a little bit into spoiler territory, and I'm not going to give spoiler territory up easily. But I will say that when you are not in the city can't or has difficulty sending a hunt after you. And I think it's already been established, like through the finale, that Clear Minds exist in a different place than the city. So if they found out about it and knew about it from a different perspective, it would be very difficult for the city to send anything after them.
Right. And plus also, even if like Clear Minds was within the city limits, so to speak, like people like H. Gray and Dr. Olin and Donahue and all of them, they're all aware of the city. And, once you survive like your first hunt, it kind of seems like it's the city, like I believe it was Dr. Beckett who said that the city rarely sends another one after you.
Yeah, I like to think it's like an initiation test. It's like, we've tested you. You live. You could. You can live here now. Just in the darkest way possible.
Although, that brings up an interesting question that wasn't in the Q&A, which is there an equivalent from the monster's perspective? Because as Lucian pointed out, that when the normal becomes aware of the supernatural, inversely, the supernatural becomes aware of the normal. So, are there monsters out there, do you guys think, are there monsters out there that are like unaware that normal people exist and then encounters a real one and then like their mind is blown in a similar fashion?
Well, they are the normal people as far as their perspective goes.
True.
I feel like the hunt for a monster in the city is just the IRS sends them their W-2s. They're like, here, you need to file this.
You have not yet killed one person. You must do that by the end of year.
If you wish to be an aberration, you must pay your taxes.
The most terrifying experience that could happen for an unholy abomination. Taxes.
Lack of infrastructure is its own monstrosity.
Jesus. The real truth behind the city is it's ran by the IRS. That's why it's so horrifying.
Okay, next up, a question for Peter. How did Dr. Olin get the office to be so wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey bag-of-holding effect?
Well, I believe that this is a question that I cannot be fully transparent with. However, I do believe what I can say is Dr. Olin is someone who has lived in the city for some time. He's made connections. He has learned a lot of things about the city that perhaps other people who have not lived there as long are unaware of. He, I would hesitate to call him an expert. However, he is someone who would be able to utilize aspects of the city for his own benefits.
Yeah. I would have to agree. I think the only way to expand on that I can think of at the moment is the only piece of information that's been given is the rug from Gwendolyn Manor was kind of hijacked by Olin at some point. I think that's been revealed. Yeah, that's been revealed.
If not, oops.
If not, it's fine. I'll fix it in post.
Yeah. On that alone, I guess more does come of it in our miniseries and whatnot, but not much is truly answered about where Gavin Olin gets his knowledge of the city.
Sure.
You learn of his influence, sure, but you do not know where he gets the full knowledge.
And some of that will be revealed later, but not all of it, because I'm a huge fan of unanswered questions.
Unlike me.
Yeah, I like imagination, so there's going to be some parts that are left up to imagination, but all the important questions I do plan on circling back and answering for sure.
Next up is a new batch of questions, again from the Discord, from James Spooky Guy. One for Dakota. Why did Donahue decide to take knives to the hospital when he can use guns?
Because guns are so impersonal. No. Just because they're loud, they're annoying, and the only thing that can be loud and annoying in a room is Lucian. Yeah, so he prefers the more intimate, personal. Also, he's very charismatic, so getting within striking range with a knife is pretty easy for him. So,
him being a human railgun makes guns kind of irrelevant for him anyway.
Exactly.
It's easier to stab your friends in the back.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
Also, knives are just pretty.
They are. They're pretty.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that though Lucian has clearly demonstrated through Talbot's discovery of Olin's gun that he has deep knowledge of firearms. So does Donahue just appreciate the beauty of a firearm without actually being like, I don't want to use it, I just really like them?
Yeah, they're pretty to look at and stuff, and they do some damage, but again, it goes back to that whole there. Rather than having to fiddle with bullets and making sure it's cocked, greased, oiled, because heaven forbid it gets rusty. So knives are easier to maintain, b keep track of their maintenance, and the personability of them is just something to be said for.
For sure. Also, he's shown that he can throw a knife pretty well too. So he's been well trained in a lot of things, as shown by his montage. That's a really good question, actually.
We did see him throw a knife. We never heard it impact the ground.
That's true. Actually, no,
we don't know where it went.
He threw a knife 3 times total. One was non-canon. The first one was into an empty void, and the second one was threw it onto the ground where the tumor creature grabbed it and ate it. And then the third one, he threw it at the present, and it just bounced off harmlessly.
Also, knives are a metaphor for a sharp wit.
Ooh, yes, completely on purpose.
You're such a great writer, Chris.
I know. I'm not accidentally bumbling my way.
Okay. James's next question, he just thinks is a fun little one for everyone, so everyone gets to put their thoughts in. Like you haven't been doing that already.
Oops.
So, with the city having people with powers like Eli, has anyone tried being a superhero? If so, do people know of them?
I would argue that Olin kind of is, not really a superhero.
Therapy man.
Yeah. Convinces you to go to therapy once a week.
Right. No, but
that would be an incredible superpower in the real world. So many people need convincing.
Right. I feel like Olin is kind of like a combination of Nick Fury and Kingpin.
Yeah, I can see that. In terms of spandex wearing superheroes, in my mind, because again, this is not word of God here, but in my mind, I like to think that at some point, absolutely, I think someone tried to be a superhero. I don't think in the Patient Files universe, which is first and foremost a supernatural / horror show, I don't think they would have had a good ending. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would have showed up all cliché, like, I'm here to save the day! And then, like, a monster would just rip them apart.
It would also be really difficult to have widespread notoriety just because of the dissonant nature the further you get from a certain point in the city.
Yeah.
And also, with all the families of power there, I feel like if there was any sort of, like, upstart, up-and-coming superhero trying to, like, muddle their way into the family's businesses, I'm pretty sure they'd be made example of pretty quickly and then thus become sort of like a boogeyman story where it's like, no, you keep that to yourself and you keep your head low. My boy's not dying on these streets.
You know who did have sort of a superhero origin story, or almost like an anti-hero Punisher kind of origin story?
Lucian.
Harper.
Yeah, Harper. That's what I was going to say.
Harper's story was great. I love that one.
Yeah. Episode 5. Yeah, no, for sure. Harper's story was pretty good. I would say if we're going dark and gritty, H. Gray kind of has like a Punisher, Batman kind of dark and gritty DC Comics feel. Eli's Marvel. Absolutely.
Stay tuned for part 2 to hear more about H. Gray.
We also can't fully discount Marshall's Marie Kondo method.
Oh, true.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, if it sparks joy, keep it, and just build healthy habits, whether you want to or not.
Yeah. You're forced to live healthily.
A superhero that takes over your mind, it makes you believe everything's okay, then leaves to the next person.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, leaving so much disaster in its wake. I did good, but everything else is bad. I don't care.
Yeah, just walks away to like a fire explosion, and the person in rags like, I'm glad I came. My work here is done.
I can definitely see H. Gray as more of like a superhero kind of aspect, at least, because he is the person on the ground going out, fighting monsters, bringing them either back to Gavin, or just out, and in some cases where he does fight, it could end badly, it could end well. Let's face it, though, H. Gray, nothing ends well for H. Gray.
No.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But he would be the guy on the ground, so like that was probably the closest we currently have written to a superhero aspect.
Yeah.
Of course, in Eli's head.
Oh, yeah. I think Eli absolutely... Oh, you know what? This is a question for you. I think, like, when Eli was younger, like 10 or like 9, do you think he, like, had a towel as a cape? You know what I'm saying? Running around the house, like I'm Shockman. No, wait, hold on. Lightning Bolt.
It's probably where he first came up with the idea of spark mode. Just jumping off and just smacking his head down.
Listen, Chris, what 10-year-old didn't wear a towel for a cape? Powers or no?
True.
Olin would have to sit Eli down and says, "Listen, Eli, I know you're having fun, but superheroes are dead and we killed them."
What?
Just spreading some Nietzsche for him.
Don't.
Is my dad a supervillain?
It's like, as they said, Eli, never meet your heroes.
Alright, I think we're good to move on from there. Next batch of questions is still from Discord, this time from Akella the Bun. This question is for Chris and Dalton.
Ooh, hello.
Where do you find the inspiration for the patient stories?
Everywhere. So,
that's a cop-out.
No. So, like, obviously, I have writer's brain. So when I see something that sparks inspiration, I'm like, ooh, that I latch onto it. But primarily, every story starts with me looking up a mental disorder of sort. And I want to be clear, none of these stories accurately depicts these mental disorders, because mental health is very important.
You mean depression doesn't manifest a heart-shaped black mold?
No.
Dang it.
Not usually. So much more, but that's where I start, and I look at like the symptoms and everything else, and then I kind of twist that into something new, or something familiar, but strange at the same time. And lastly, for me, another part of inspiration is I rewrite a lot of like of my past and like experiences that I've gone through, not in the literal sense, but like hey, I've been in a cabin before. And so, like...
It's gotten bigger on me.
Yeah, it's never gotten bigger, but, like, I felt that form of isolation when I was out there, and that's where I drew from.
Yeah, believe it or not, they are not all true stories. Go figure.
Yeah, not all of them.
I'd be concerned.
I've gotten into a car crash, went to the hospital, fell in love with the nurse there, and then that nurse ate me and you wore my skin.
Yeah, I mean, the difference was I asked for that, so like
fair.
it was
Yeah.
it was a thing that we were into.
You wear that skin perfectly. Might I
Thank
add.
you. Yeah, I mean,
I always thought there was
Except for
something
these
different about
eyes.
it, but it's probably the exactly
the eyes, they're
They're
so old.
Very old.
But no, I'll agree to that. Like, the idea, for me at least, I used a little bit of prior knowledge and kind of experiences to do the... In the patient files, I've only written, like, one, like, patient story, which actually was heavily influenced by my time on a cruise. So, even though it probably wasn't a cruise, guys, just saying.
It's a metaphor.
But for other stories, I kind of have fun ideas, run with it, try to create a story, and see how long I can run with it. The idea for characters kind of building the story is where I get my inspiration.
Okay, like that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like creating solid characters, because if you create a solid character in a solid world, then really the story kind of tells itself. You know, you just introduce something to them, and then like the characters will respond, the world will respond. So like that's a really good way.
It's
to
a
go
very
about it.
fun idea that the main character of my miniseries is not my character. It's not. I didn't write him originally. He's not my invention.
It's my invention.
It's Chris's, and I have to run with that, and it's a lot of fun. But I love throwing H. Gray into weird situations like the beach.
Absolutely,
Like,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, definitely join the Patreon if you want to see H. Gray on the beach.
Yeah, you can blame the both of them for all of H. Gray's trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Mm-hmm. H. Gray, if you do exist at one point, don't hunt us, please.
Yeah, please, for the love of God, don't make Inkheart real.
Moving on to the next question, still for the writers. This is probably heavy spoiler territory, though. What is the connection between the weather events and the supernatural events in the city?
Well, you see that would...
It's not done. Is there a reason that it rains so often?
Sorry.
That's what I cut you off for.
That's fair. That's fair.
Hold your tongue, sir.
I just got really excited.
Chris, patience.
Patient.
Files.
Oh, okay.
You can't see it, but he's frothing at the mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. I just went insane. No, that is definitely a spoiler. So the real reason is, and that's pretty much why.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, you never told me that before, and I just can't believe it. That's incredible.
This is something we did not discuss.
I
Yeah,
have so
yeah.
much more respect for you now.
I know.
I live with the guy. He tells me all of this.
Yeah. So
It's beautiful, man.
I know. Like, honestly, it's very personal to me, and yeah. I mean, I'm glad I can finally talk about that openly. Okay, so next
Poor
question.
Greg, though.
No, but for cereal, yeah, that's that answer to that question is coming, but not yet.
Sorry, Akella, you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, stay tuned. Hey,
Next up, this isn't addressed to anyone in particular, so whoever has an answer, go ahead. People in the city don't always seem to disappear after their death. Will we see Stella again, or Caliban for that matter?
Oh, okay, I'll go first. So that's true, right? We had Roxanne Lawson didn't technically stay dead.
Juliet Sanders.
Juliet Sanders came back. That's right, and like she definitely died. I feel like there was a few other returning things that were like the mold. Technically, like it was blown up, but like there it was in the office.
You can't kill depression.
Yeah. We can try.
Tell me about it. Yeah, no, but I want to say loosely, not those, maybe not those specific characters that were mentioned, but I wouldn't count out anyone or anything that's mentioned as like gone. That was actually kind of the point of episode 12 and 13, was to show that like at any point, you know, something can come back. Yeah.
I would say that is more reinforced at the season finale with Key, specifically Key. Like this out of the blue kind of came back, and it honestly was really a mind blowing thing. So like that was something that blew me away. Because right.
What sort of indication could a listener look for to know, this person's dead for good? Just so they're not holding on to hope that their favorite character might come back later, only to be disappointed.
None. That would require me to have a lot of forethought.
Not even some like sad piano riffs.
No, I think so actually there's clues hidden throughout the episode that are very, very tiny, and they're like number clues. So in order to figure it out, you would have to listen to the series like 20 times. And that's totally not me just trying to tell you to listen to it more. No, for real. I mean,
no, he's just trying to spawn an ARG at this point.
No, he has a point. Like, a lot of my friends who have listened to this have, like, after the season finale, I'm like, go back and you'll see all the hints and clues for heavily spoilers, but yes, character related stuff.
Oh yeah,
there's plenty that haven't even gotten their payoff yet.
So what you're telling me is Stella Naoma could still be out there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, you guys.
Where is she?
Okay. Just refinding my place. Another one from Discord from Mako. Okay. The planet's lifeblood from Final Fantasy VII. A question for Chris.
That's Mako.
Have you played a game called Control? Your story reminds me of that game, what with the office having its own rules and especially the actual patient files. The files also remind me of the SCP files. That is a huge compliment, by the way.
Thank you.
SCP is amazing.
Yes, it is.
So it's Control, honestly.
So here's the thing: is I've been wanting to play Control because it looks like totally my kind of game.
I could have swore you did play it.
I did not. I've been meaning to, and I haven't. But I've watched a lot of videos on it, a lot of music videos on it as well. But like I definitely that type of weird, confusing, breaking logic type of genre is a huge inspiration on me. And SCP Files, of course, I continuously listen to it. Sometimes when I go to sleep, it's like my playlist. So like, in terms of if I drew inspiration on them for the patient files, I would have to say, sure. In the same way that I drew on so many audio dramas that I respect as well as books I've read, TV shows. Not
of that. Not necessarily an intentional inspiration,
right?
But it's there in the back of your mind.
Yeah. It's definitely something I enjoy, and so that's going to bleed over and mix with everything to when I sit down to write or create. Yeah. Something
that I notice every time that you build suspension in a scene, a lot of the flow reminds me of Malevolent. Another.
Yes.
Another. I'm sure most people listen to this have probably listened to Malevolent. But
if you haven't, do.
Definitely
amazing.
Yeah. Like seriously, it's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. We've got 3 in a row for Peter. Aren't you special?
Oh, I am actually. Thank you.
Don't raise his ego, please.
My head doesn't fit enough as it is.
It's a package deal from JameZone89. How hands-on is Dr. Olin with patients? How does he get to his patients with an infinite number of them in the back halls?
Sorry about that, everyone. There was a car sound going on, so I'm going to attempt to answer the question again. So the question of Olin being hands-on or not, I would say that he's very hands-on. I would say that... Uh-oh.
Oh, another break.
Wow, I really am special. 2 interruptions. First a car, then pizza. Wonderful. All right, so take 3 on trying to answer this question. I believe that Olin is very hands-on with his patients. He likes to get to know them, learn about what it is that, not only what they can do, but what it actually stems from them doing. You know, he's very he's a therapist about it. When it comes to him finding his patients, well, that's kind of what he's got H. Gray for. But I do believe he was more hands-on before H. Gray came into the picture. But yeah, just things like that. What was you already told me what the other part of the question was. How does he navigate the infinite halls and whatnot? Yeah, so I believe that it kind of delves a little bit into the spoiler territory. He has assistance from people like Greg, but that sort of goes back into a previous question of just how Olin is able to do the things he can do. He's been in the city for a long time, and
I think the same way he created the halls gives him the power to navigate them freely.
Sure. Right, yeah.
Yeah. Additionally, I want to say that in terms of him being hands-on, I would definitely say that, like, in my opinion, I like up to imagination until I actually establish it in the main feed. But like, I like to think that Olin still is pretty active in finding patients, because there was one point where Lucian, when he was still pretending to not know anything about Olin, just straight up said, "Oh, Dr. Olin is rarely in his office."
Right, and that also goes into point here where H. Gray didn't even know about Lucian.
Yeah.
So
Olin has things going on where he's not telling everyone that either works for him or his friends.
Right. Well, and H. Gray doesn't know about a lot of things that are in the back halls.
Yeah.
So yeah, Olin definitely, he probably has maybe other agents that H. Gray doesn't know about. He goes out himself, but also he's rarely in his office because oftentimes he's visiting his patients.
He also found the patient in the bone plague hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that Olin's not just a therapist. He's a therapist.
God damn it. Dad joke over here.
We're cutting that one. That was terrible.
No, it's staying in. I love it.
Okay.
Okay, next question. What was your inspiration for Caliban's voice?
So this is kind of...
Were those audio effects, or did you really put all the...
Oh, yeah. Check this out, guys. This is my actual voice doing this right now. This is the voice of Caliban. Yep. Completely my voice.
I didn't even edit that in post or anything. Like, it's
Nothing.
crazy.
He's so talented.
Yeah, like, I'm always shocked on how your vocal cords can, like, create that kind of reverb.
Yeah.
Larian, give this guy a call.
Yeah, pure natural talent. What can I say? No. As to, like, how I sort of find a voice for someone like Caliban, what I usually do is I just look toward a voice that I've heard from another character in fiction that I find very memorable or something like that. And I try to mimic that voice as best I can. And then from there, I try to turn it into something a little bit more like the character I'm performing. A bit of a weird inspiration, but for Caliban specifically, I started by trying to mimic a character in Final Fantasy XIV named...
Wait, let me guess.
Okay.
Gaius.
No.
Ah, damn it.
No. Specifically, Fandaniel from Endwalker.
Oh, he's such a cuck.
He's one of my favorite characters, but that was the base where I started with, and then I tried to turn it into something a bit more fitting for Caliban. And then Chris ruined it by putting a bunch of effects on my voice.
No.
What are you talking about? I never put any effects on your voice.
You're ruining the magic for the listeners.
Here, we'll cut it out.
No, it's staying.
I can say that his advice or his way of finding those voices really helped me as well, because he gave me the same advice for Cameron Daly when it came to it, because I took a voice I was very good at imitating and put my own intonations and my own twist on it to give the voice I did. It was very relaxing, very comforting of a voice to give.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell them whose voice you...
Yes. So I try to do this voice from How to Train Your Dragon. It's Hiccup. But if I put my own intonations into it, I get Cameron Daly.
Right, yeah. I'm just amazing.
Yeah, you are.
This question was for Peter.
Oh.
All right, we don't need everyone else stroking
Yeah,
their
and-
ego.
Well, hold on.
Well, my backstory now. We all have our voice backstory.
Wait, this is
What inspired you for the receptionist?
That's H. Gray. That's Patreon content.
Yeah,
The barista.
That's behind a paywall.
Barista.
The barista role. Yeah, that's free content. I've been working food and retail for the past 15 years. No, wait. 17 years. Excuse me. So, yeah, all that rage and frustration, I know exactly how to sound fed up with customers.
it's actually this is kind of a really big thing. All of the voices you're hearing right now are actually Peter.
Yeah.
Everyone here. Is actually
Yeah. Everyone got sick. I don't know why I'm using the Chris voice to tell you this. It's weird.
All right, were you going to say
Go-
something?
go ahead,
I guess
Dakota, if
since
you
we're
must.
delving into it, the Lucian voice came from just an old D&D character of mine, a classic bard, and I've recently come to the realization that any good piece of media just needs a cunty little guy in it, and, vaguely British really fits the bill for that.
Yeah. Honestly, it's really weird because, I can't do the Lucian voice. I can't, every other character I can, put a really bad imitation on when we're doing, script reads or whatever. When I get to Lucian, I'm just I don't know, gay British. Or, I'm sorry, vaguely British, because I don't want to insult.
vaguely
I don't-
gay,
yeah.
very gay, very gay.
Vaguely gay,
do your best
vaguely,
Ian McKellen.
vaguely British, vaguely gay, British.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, those are the same
Vaguely
thing.
gay.
Yeah.
Vaguely gay. Well, I feel like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Lucian doesn't care the gender of his partner, but more of whether or not his partner will worship him.
Yeah, his
That's a
orientation.
popular kink.
His orientation is on the top.
Yes.
Neither top nor bottom, just way up there.
Both
looking down on everyone.
Right, not only in the bedroom, but also socially, financially,
Psychologically.
right,
the
intellectually.
Yeah.
On that note, before we finish up Peter's package deal of questions,
Yeah.
when are Lucian and Talbot going to kiss?
Who's to say they haven't? I'm
much-
kidding.
How much money is he paying?
Am I old enough to view this content?
No.
No one's viewing this content. It's a podcast.
All you got
God.
to do is press the "Yes, I'm 18" button.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Whoa,
That's
whoa,
the
whoa,
captcha.
whoa! We can't encourage bypassing security measures.
It's true. Anyway, no.
You can't
So-
lie on the internet.
That's what Abraham Lincoln said.
All right, let's go ahead.
All right, the last of the package deal. If Key wasn't turned to dust, would he have ever found his lock? In other words, a romance.
So, are you asking if I would ever find my gatekeeper?
Oh, God.
Oh, come on!
I think that Key is far too in love with himself to ever truly be able to find romance.
If you too focus on the narrative.
If you listen back to Key's final words in the finale, you'll there's no immediate threat to Key while he's talking with Donahue, but Key is terrified, and the reason why Key is terrified is because Key has no power. He has no power over Donahue, and the power that Key has over Talbot is obsolete, and that terrifies him maybe more than death. But but Key is someone who desires to have power over others, and that sort of thing doesn't really leave any room for any sort of keyhole romance.
Right, or at least not a healthy romance.
Right.
Yeah.
It might not. It's not a romance on his part.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, Key is probably my least favorite character. I'm sorry.
Really?
I
I
He's the
love
most
Key.
fuckable.
All right, so definitely explicit tag for this episode. But no, I mean
Cunty little guy didn't do it.
no.
I introduced myself as a fuckboy who lives in your basement.
We have now reached 4.
Yeah, but that's fine. No, it's true.
You blew our load on the one right off rip.
You made us more than PG-13. Thanks.
So no, I mean, I like Key a lot because I find his power fascinating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just fascinating.
Words.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think he's a cool character. I think he's
If you do say so yourself.
I think he's kind of a
How narcissistic.
jerk. Yeah, I mean, whoever wrote him, great job. Honestly.
Yeah,
Definitely not self-insert.
No, not at all.
Okay, and on that note, we're going to take a short lunch break. As we mentioned, pizza arrived recently, so we're going to go enjoy that for a moment, and we will be right back. No time will pass for you.
Bye.
All right, and we're back. I know those 2 seconds must have been agonizing for you all. But let's move on with the remainder of the questions.
It's been 3 years for us.
Hey, welcome to the city.
All right. Next from Alex Peltier. I'm
Peltier.
terribly sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly.
Just listen.
No.
Fine. Be like that.
No.
Every day of my life. Appropriately, Dalton, this question's for you.
Wonderful.
Why does Eli get sick in the final episode? Because he's nearing the city limits.
Ooh, okay, that's a good one. I think it's on this.
It's absolutely
more
a
so in
spoiler.
spoiler territory.
Sure, I think
Could be. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it is. We can kind of reframe it slightly. Like, what we can say
You
is
could
that
put it as simply as Eli is supposed to stay there.
yeah, that's
I mean,
that's a not
I don't
a
think the
bad
city
answer.
likes things leaving it. If it was from the city,
Sure,
for sure.
it definitely seems that, like, from what the listeners could tell, I'm not saying this is the answer, but maybe minors, like children, maybe it wants to keep them more because, like, it was already mentioned that Luna couldn't leave, but
Right.
Lucian obviously just was like, and I'm out, you know. And,
That's creepy.
Lucian's built different.
yeah,
Also, age, I guess.
and
Yeah.
he's
Old.
the same age as me. Like,
No, I think that's probably, at least my headcanon answer is the fact that Eli's still a teenager. Like, he's still growing, and I think that since his body's not fully, like, done growing,
He didn't have the resilience to withstand the city's shenanigans.
and let's face it, Eli's not the strongest, like, thinker. So if the crack was meant to do something to the brain, Eli's probably coming a little bit messed up there.
yeah.
Shutting him
So,
down.
episode 2 of or season 2, Eli is, never mind.
No, go on.
You'll just have to tune in.
No, go on.
Right, he's dead. Yeah.
Oh
I guess I'm fired.
Lucian will be dragging around a corpse all season, be like, "Come on, Eli," and then we're just gonna hear flies buzzing.
The Patient File Season 2, Weekend at Eli's.
That reminds me of the terminal montage Undertale video.
Reminds me of Swiss Army Man featuring right with like Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh no.
God.
Next up for Dakota. If Lucian has been deceiving Talbot since the beginning, is he technically Talbot's first hunt?
Well, he does kind of allude to that in the...
That got cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
no! Okay, well, not specifically or, like, intentionally, I'll say. But there was a line that got cut that kind of alluded to Lucian kind of poking fun at that idea because he's lived in the city, he's known about it, about the hunt, yada yada, and then Talbot came out of nowhere, and then he just quickly latched on and started using him to his own ends, and so it could be construed as such, both by anyone involved.
Yeah.
But Chris, aren't hunts typically from like monsters specifically?
Yeah, but anything that is considered paranormal or supernatural is considered a monster in
So
this lore.
so there is no divide between someone with powers and a monster.
Yeah, I think there is, but not as a big of divide as you would think.
Right, it's not like a line in the sand.
Yeah.
It's a much undefined barrier.
Right.
I
Yeah.
would like to think that anybody which has abilities inside the city could potentially be either a victim or a monster based on
Sure.
how they use it.
Yeah, I
mean,
like think of Harper.
Yeah,
Because she
Harper.
was like going back to the inverse thing. She was technically supernatural and became that, but like a normal person, came after her. Like,
Right, but also if you
Quote-unquote
look at
normal.
it, if
Yeah.
you look at it a certain way, she attached herself to this man,
Yeah.
and just was drawn to him, sort of thing.
oh yeah,
So
that's
you
a good
could
point.
look at it as the city pulling her to this person, and the person was thinking he was hunting Harper, but in the end, it was Harper that got to him.
yeah,
I like
that's
that.
true.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that a
pretty
lot.
solid.
That's really good. Yeah. But no, I mean, I guess to answer the question from my headcanon, I think absolutely. That's just my headcanon.
The writer's headcanon.
Well, let's be clear here. The way that I write is that I leave a lot of open-ended questions because I like when people come up with their own theories, and their own lore. Basically, there comes a point when any artist or creator that their content no longer belongs to them. When enough people consume it, it belongs to the consumer. And so I might start thinking, okay, this is my intention. I'm going to make Lucian a down-to-earth, very humble person. And by the end of it, not. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think, I like to think, yes, that Lucian was his first hunt. Only because I can't think of anything that hunted Talbot before that. Or at all. Because everything he's kind of ran to or stumbled into, and the second closest I would say would be the Minotaur. Would be the second closest.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
The Minotaur and the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I guess the follow-up thought of it would be, like, what indicates, like, what are the true defining features of a hunt? Because I doubt very seriously that if any sort of normal person, like, comes of age or enters the city, that, like, some monster is just going to get a leaflet in the mail. It's just like, it's time for your hunt. Like, here's your target.
Well, that's why, like,
the glasses come on.
that's,
Hey, here's their address. Go kill this person.
yeah, yes, city. But like that's that's actually like why Beckett said it was an interesting field of study, because they noticed that like there are rules to the city. They're vague, they're undefined, and kind of changing. But like she was mainly like one of the the hunt is like one of the rules that once you become aware of the supernatural, it becomes aware of you, and this likely ends in a hunt almost always. That's why she's so surprised when Talbot's like, I haven't had one. She's like, well, that's weird, but she didn't like stop everything and say we need to get you in isolation now.
We actually see a little snippet of the city interacting with that supernatural stuff, but nobody really understands or really even sees it's there with Roxanne Lawson when she runs into the diner.
Yeah.
And death, or whatever we perceived as death, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Just kind of goes oof, right through it. Thank you, Dakota. For that voice.
There you are.
But he comes through the door and stands there, and someone else walks right through him, and nothing happens.
Sure.
And that also gets alluded to as well in episode 13 when they see it there too.
Yeah, actually, someone, it's not in the Q&A, but I'm going to answer this now because someone asked me that why did, when death first appeared in that episode, did a normal person walk through it and find, but then Roxanne Lawson and Eli stopped Lucian and Juliet from getting any closer. And that's because they were more aware of the city. The person who walked through the ghost was not aware. And so the supernatural entity essentially couldn't harm him. But since Lucian and Juliet were aware, the spirit of death, or whatever you want to call it, absolutely could. And like, so there's like this divide between that. And I think that if you have abilities or powers, it's more likely that like the city will leave you alone in a weird sense. Like at first,
I think your role is. I think in my head canon, your role is still predetermined, whether you're going to be a victim or a monster.
True, yeah.
And so, like, pick and choose.
Oh, yes, predetermined by Chris.
Well, sometimes, I guess.
Okay, I think we can move on to the next question. Also, another one for Dakota.
Ooh.
This one's been answered, but we can ask it anyway. Does Lucian have powers? Was he the creature that killed his parents?
Well, I mean, technically, technically the second part of that question hasn't actually been answered.
No,
very
yeah,
true.
but the first part has.
Yeah, the first part is the first answer to that question. No. He does not. No, I can't. I joke. Yes,
I'm afraid I
he's-
can't say.
He's immensely powerful, and not to brag, but he is probably the strongest person in the city. Just saying, just putting that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
totally.
to answer the second part, yes. Yes, he did. Very gruesomely and brutally. Which, curiously enough, maybe that was his first hunt.
What do you mean by that? Like, because he wasn't hunted by... Like, you mean that was...
He was hunting his
Oh,
parents.
that like that was the first time he hunted.
Yeah.
Probably, but I don't think that like would it be hilarious is like his parents were just accidental. Like, what if one of the maids came across like a paranormal notebook and which activated Lucian and like killed the maid, but then just also killed everyone else?
It's a big old multi-million-dollar domino game.
Yeah.
Interesting field of study.
Okay. This next one is for Chris or Dalton, but you're probably both going to answer.
No, only one.
Hey, I might answer.
Yeah, you know what, Dakota? Let's take this one.
The people demand more Tabitha the Telekinetic Tabby Cat content. If this transgression must be phrased as a question, what did your listeners do to deserve this treatment?
Existed. No, all right, but my do you want me to put in a cat in the city? Because kitties are cute, but keep in mind it's a horror podcast, and as we just established, you're either a victim or a monster.
Cats have 9 lives.
Oh, that's true. I could kill the cat and it'll be back.
Listen, people are okay with cats being monsters. If a cat is cute enough, if any animal is cute enough, they can do whatever they want, and people will be like, "Yeah, they'll root for that."
That's true. I could
That cat pushed someone off the building, but it's so adorable.
Yeah, they
you
probably
don't-
deserved it.
You don't throw your cat out after it brings you a dead mouse, do you? No, it's adorable.
Most
same
cat
thing.
owners I know only know their breed of cat as asshole.
True. No, I mean,
Oh, it's orange.
maybe I've had thoughts. I don't know about Dalton, but I've had thoughts. I toyed around with the idea of writing like a bonus episode, whether it's on the main feed or on the Patreon or whatever, that involves some of the like unanswered, like obvious like side things. You know, like Tabitha the Telekinetic Tabby Cat, as an example.
I'd like the idea that it shows up in
You
the
have
future
to-
season as well. Like, someone's like, this file you brought back, or you transcribed, and they look through it, they read it, and they're like, what the hell was that?
You know what I could do is I could just keep adding different adjectives, like different descriptors to the name. So next time would be like Tabby the telepathic telekinetic Tabby Cat, you know, and just keep going.
The dyslexia in me is like, no!
Well, let's just say
and she demands that you address her by the full title every time.
Yeah, it's just like
Even as it keeps growing.
Calm down, H. Gray.
H Cat.
Yeah, all I can really say to the person who posed this question is be careful. Otherwise, you may end up finding yourself in the presence of a certain tree.
Oh God.
Oh,
no.
Oh no! We don't talk about that here.
Yeah, that's so powerful it could like actually do something. So let's just move on. I'm getting scared.
Yes,
Wow.
sorry.
Somebody check the
Can you
blinds.
shut? Yeah, I was just gonna say shut the door.
I adore this next question. This batch is from Joker's Nut Butter on Discord. Now, notice I said I adore this next question, not the user's name.
Well, how do you feel about the user's name, first of all?
It's pretty silly. I like it.
Original.
Dakota.
Yes.
I'm not sure I can ask this with a straight face.
Use your best gay base. Thanks, it's fine.
Try it.
Would you consider Donahue to be evil?
Ooh.
You know, no. I think he's an incredibly misunderstood, incredibly complex, and sometimes altruistic character. Think of all the food that he's provided for the gang. If he really was evil, he would have let them starve in that giant McMansion of his.
Actually, yeah,
But
Springboard.
that would make him a poor host, and he can't have that.
Oh, of course he can. Everyone can fend for themselves. We all... Come now. Come now.
to sort of to add a more serious twinge to this, I personally truly do not believe Lucian to be evil, and he is complex. He's not a good person.
No.
But
No.
but I
yes.
don't think that Lucian is like one note evil.
Yeah, no, that's a...
A well-written character isn't one note.
Yeah.
I'd also like to think that when Lucian actually was bringing the blocks up to Eli, he wasn't going to do a recording. No, he was probably going to play blocks because that's more productive.
Yeah.
And I don't know any evil person who plays with blocks.
Yeah, no, Lucian isn't evil. He just plays with the cards close to his chest, and, everyone's kind of dispensable, but not, for funsies.
I mean, again, I like
Just
to
until
think
they
that...
run out of use.
Exactly.
I like to think that his life, when you really look at the episode that kind of shows his childhood, has been it's been in survival mode for so long. And if you've ever been in survival mode, everyone else is either useful or dead weight. You start making these calculations, you might care for this person, but at the end of the day, if you need to let them go to survive, you know what I'm saying, you will. And I think he's just been in that mode forever,
And he's doesn't adopt that I feel like he doesn't adopt that mindset where if you're not screwing someone else over, you're getting screwed over. He doesn't believe in that just because he's been very provided for and also has had to fend for himself for so long that it's sometimes you gotta screw people over to get what you want, but it's not his default.
Yeah, it's not because if you think about it, if he wanted to, he could have snapped and killed Charles while they're in the hedge maze the moment that Charles is like, we should leave. Instead, he's like, no, okay, fine, you're right. Carried Eli. And it was just by happenstance where he's just like, oh, it's the best move is to kill Charles. But up until that point, the best move was to protect him, to guide him, even if he was frustrated with having to do that.
Truthfully, Lucian's just a personified version of Tabitha the telekinetic tabby cat.
Actually, Lucian is.
You did say transgression, didn't you?
Transformation is going to get added into that.
The transforming telepath.
The transforming, terrific, telepathic, telekinetic tabby cat.
Yeah.
I hate how you can say that so fast.
Tabitha the terrific, transposing, transforming, transmogrifying Tabitha telekinetic tabby cat.
You almost got it. Almost got it.
What have you done?
Okay, next up for Chris. This is another good one. Are Talbot's memories real and his own, or are they a fabrication?
I mean, he has real memories. He's remembered Donahue and Eli and H. Gray and The Office. But this is definitely going into spoiler territory. The best I can say is that something is going on with his memory. Whether they're real, they're fabricated, whether they're altered, what's going on there will be revealed eventually. But at the current moment, I would say that how do I put it? I guess just stay tuned because there's nothing more I can really expand on for there that would really satisfy that question without giving away a huge part of the story.
Right. I think what we can say is there is a reason why the Janus Beast reacted to Talbot's memories the way that they did.
Yeah.
And knowing that everything we know about Talbot currently could actually be part of the reason why the Janus Beast actually did that. That's current headcanon myself here. But.
And as side note, in case you're wondering why we're using the name Janus Beast, the pawn shop owner.
Never actually
for our cast and crew, we have called it the Janus Beast.
Janus.
Ironically, its name is not Janus.
No. No.
So
I forgot to list that as one of my credits.
Oh no!
Start over.
Yeah,
you have to start the whole podcast over. Sorry, everyone. You're never going to hear this.
Beginning from season 1.
All right, I'll get in front of my keyboard.
I'll get my pen ready.
All right.
Next up, episode 3.
Joker's Nut Butter has 2 questions that we've already covered, but we can recap them real quick. Will Caliban return? don't count any character out. And was Donahue for the first hunt for Talbot? You could interpret it that way.
Yeah.
Apologies for being so vague, but there's still a lot of show left. We want to be careful with spoilers. Joker has more questions on the next page.
Oh.
Does anyone else have modified memories?
Probably.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's probably the fairest answer you could give.
Yeah. But on a serious note, that's such an open question because, like, yeah, Tim does.
The barista has altered
Anyone
memories.
who's met the cops, anyone who's talked to the pawn shop
Yeah,
owners,
no, the cops alter memories direct.
yeah,
So
technically Lucian.
yeah, like
So-
99.9% of the city
but
probably has altered memories if they've encountered the police.
Right, but the spirit of the question probably means that Denny's the main cast have like memories of their like Lucian's childhood. Was that all fabricated? Kind of thing. I want to say that like there still needs to be something that is real. So like unless otherwise hinted at or stated, if Lucian's like, "Hey, I ate tacos last Tuesday," assume he did. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. But yeah.
Okay. Lainey from Discord asks, when writing, do you have an entire story already decided from start to finish, or are you just going for with the flow?
Take it away, Chris.
Okay, yeah. I'll start with this one again. So per season, I have actually for all the entire show. I know what's going to happen, obviously, and I know what's going to happen. Yeah, in every season. In terms of the episodes themselves, I know the out story, the in story, the patient story, the patient file. I have a general idea, and then I just start, and then it just word vomits out of me. I usually figure out where the episode is going about 30% through it. I'm a very improv type person, very kind of fly. I loosely plan. I'm not a meticulous planner. I'm not Talbot when it comes to how I approach writing, because I want it to be organic.
In George R. R. Martin terms, you're a gardener, not an architect.
Yeah. My main focus is creating a world and lore in people who are really well defined. Like, I could tell you, like, why Talbot prefers black coffee, over anything else. I know each character really well, and I know the world really well. So everything else kind of just unfolds.
Yeah, we know how each season is going to start and end.
Yeah.
But we kind of fill in the middle as we go.
Yeah, and what about your writing?
I'm a little bit of the opposite. While I do know major events that happen, I try to plan everything out kind of storyboardy, but as Chris and actually Peter do know, that I end up changing a lot of events on the inside to make the out stuff work, where I've ended up rewriting entire episodes because I didn't like how this ended up being here and they needed to go here.
They really balance each other out.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Sometimes I need someone to tell me, "Hey, what's the plan?" And he can correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes he needs someone to tell him, "Just do it."
I'm very when I write, like it's like putting your heart out on paper, like I want to see, and I'm very self-conscious about it.
There is a line that that I wrote that kind of sticks with me, and not to like flam my own fire or anything, but like is episode 3, David Snyder, and when the monster says that David Snyder's life story, for anyone who knew him, would easily recognize for what it was, a retelling of his life, but perhaps with a bit more swordplay and magic. Like, that took a lot for me to like actually include into the episode, because that's very telling. That's basically me, the author, saying like, hey, some of these events, something similar has happened, but I've dressed it up. And like, I feel when you write, you are, if you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to put stuff out in the open and be like, here's my trauma. Enjoy it, like, yeah, eat my trauma for dinner, but like, I think that's a good way to make a good story anyway.
I know when it comes to it too, I've seen Chris hash out a story like that. Like he's like, "Oh, and I'm done." I'm like, "I just edited the last one." like, oh my gosh. But with me, it's like, "Hey, we need a few more days turns to like a week. I'm like, oh, my bad.
Yeah, it's because I have so much trauma.
Got a lot to unpack. That's a big old suitcase.
So many folders in the files and everything like that he gets to pull from.
Oh yeah. I actually never really. I don't really run out of ideas, and so I have some people come up to me like, "Hey, I have a really cool idea for an episode," and they'll pitch it to me, and I'm like, "Cool, write it and let me see it, and then we'll work it out." And they're like, "Oh, I was hoping you would write it," and I was like, "Oh no, I have so many ideas. Like, I don't need someone to give me ideas. I have plenty."
I don't know when we're going to release this image, when it's got a picture of me looking at a whiteboard and all of our ideas are like webbed out on it. And it was.
We could just Photoshop your face over that meme with
That was
all
what
of
it
the
was.
red yarn.
It was inspired from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
The meme was inspired by Dalton.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I am a writer on Always Sunny. Please continue watching that.
Okay. Next up, from Loves Butter and Pickles, we have a question for Peter.
Oh, wonderful.
All of your characters sound unique from one another. How do you personally make each one sound so distinct?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much. But also, I feel like I kind of already answered this one with where I draw inspiration from my voices, where I will pull an existing character in fiction as inspiration and then change it for myself. I think probably my funniest one is actually how I came up with my voice for Olin. Because if you go back to where you first hear Olin's voice in episode 7, he doesn't sound like how he sounds now. And that's because I hadn't quite figured out. I just tried to sort of make him sound very prim and proper. But as it went on, I realized that there was a voice that I started to go into that I always just did for fun. And anybody who's played the Kingdom Hearts games will know who Xemnas is. And so I don't have a very deep voice, so I don't do a good Xemnas impersonation.
This voice is so deep.
It is. Paul St. Peter's amazing. But I, replicate Xemnas' voice as best as I can, and then I try to change it to be what is now the Olin voice.
You also said something that you probably had more. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. You said something that actually resonated with me, because you're like, at the beginning, if you listen to Olin, it's different than he is now. Like, same's with Talbot, and I think with everyone here, like, when we first started, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, whether it was any of my responsibilities, like, I'll figure it out as I go. And the episode 1 Talbot versus finale Talbot, like, two completely different people, because I didn't have it quite figured out. There's a story behind that, but I'll
also
save that.
Donahue just helped him grow so much as a person.
Yeah.
Honestly, the moment that Donahue's character came in, Talbot's mood got way lighter.
I was going to actually say that, because in episode 1 and 2, Talbot's only talking to himself. So in episode 1 and 2 is when Talbot sounds the most different from where he sounds. Once you have someone to sort of bounce off, and you're actually talking with someone instead of just talking into a recorder, that's kind of when you started to establish your final Talbot voice.
Yeah.
Good.
Lucian's been perfect from the start.
I will say that Lucian has gotten, how to put it, like, more sassy and suave.
The personality of Lucian has come out a lot
Right.
more.
Lucian was much more subtle in episode 3.
That's just a side effect of his power. Every day he gets a little bit sassier.
Every day he just gets a little cuntier.
All right. Next up is a question for Chris from Juice Josh 854.
Juice? Josh?
Juice Josh.
Juice.
Like,
with SH.
No, yeah, like Josh, but with 2 O's.
Oh. I wonder. Oh,
Juice Josh.
are you
Juice
a
Josh.
Juice Josh? Feel free to ignore this, but are you a fan of Future Man by chance? It's an episode. It's a series on Hulu. Just curious, because go on.
The sound design is really good, and you can hear how you improve over the season.
Thanks.
Where did you learn how to do sound design?
Well, I went to a really cool academy called My Bedroom. No, I'm completely self-taught. I've been listening to like audio dramas and stuff like that for quite some time, and I've had a huge interest into it. And when I first started this project, I knew that I was going to have to learn a lot of skills really, really fast. And I really enjoy sound engineering, and I just now realized that like I completely didn't even mention that in our introduction. I was like, hey, I'm a showrunner, I'm a writer, and I completely skirted over sound engineering. But yeah, I learned how to do that on the fly. I still think there's a lot of room for improvement for me, and I'm constantly trying to push myself. But yeah, completely self-taught. I hope it's good, question mark.
I have received many compliments about you of your sound engineering as well. Like, seriously.
Thank you.
Put yourself on a higher pedestal. Take after Lucian.
Oh, right. Oh, then in which case, I, vaguely gay, vaguely British accent, I am amazing.
You could have just been like, and then you just motioned to Dakota, and then he says,
I could have.
We can't fit all this ego in one room, you guys. Come on. A question for everyone. How did you get involved in the patient files? And do you have any advice for those that want to create something of their own? This was also asked by Juice Josh. We can just go around the circle. I personally have been Chris's best friend for like 12 and a half years, and I've lived with him for 9. I didn't really have a choice. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm unhappy to be here.
No one did. I kidnapped all of them.
We can just go around the circle. Peter?
Sure, yeah.
The advice. I'm sorry to cut you off. No, I don't have any advice for you because I haven't created anything. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, with how I got involved, I actually got involved through Dalton because Dalton started out as a script editor for Chris, and he told me about it, and I just put out an audition and got a couple of parts.
Yeah,
a couple.
3.
Do you have any advice on content creation?
Even if it's your only audience, constantly create.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I don't often audition for things. It's more of a hobby than anything else. But like even if I'm just like reading a book or playing a video game, I love doing voices. So like if you want to get better at something, you got to do it. Mm-hmm. And if you want to, and this is advice that I should take as well. If you want to do more collaboration with stuff, get parts you have to audition. You're not going to get any parts you don't audition for. So.
But they're just supposed to scout me while I'm at my barista job.
Right. I mean, that's actually really good advice. How did I get involved in this project?
Yeah,
let me think.
Who told you about the patient files?
Yeah,
Chris?
so obviously I created it. Again, like I mentioned, I have been listening to audio dramas for like 5 years. And like a year before I actually started this project, I was really thinking about it. I actually approached Dakota a long time ago, like a year before I even started, and was like, hey, if I run an audio drama, do I have your voice? And Dakota's like, absolutely. And I was like, all right, bet. And so I did.
Just steal his story. Why don't you?
I think
steal the first half of his answer.
So, well, that's not how we got involved with patient files. No, that's just, yeah. But anyways, so, and I just decided to do it. There was a couple other factors, like I heard Mike, who plays H. Gray, he randomly showed me a voice sample of something he could do, and I was like, okay, in the very least, I have like 2 people in mind. I'm going to do it. And I think that's the thing. If you want to do something, just do it. Like if there's something you're passionate, just do it. No, but if there's something you're passionate about and something that you really always wanted to try, just try it. Just go for it. Like you can plan, you can think about it all you want, but like at the end of the day, you have to have that courage to just jump. That's also my advice, is if you want to do something, do it. And if you fail, that's fine. Failure isn't bad. It's just more of like a way to get better.
Like Gazelle in Zootopia said, try everything.
Sure. Yeah.
It just teaches you how to do better on your next attempt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite lines being, a master has failed more times than an amateur has ever tried.
Yes. Yeah.
But how I actually got involved is... Damn, I had this whole fake story in my head, and as soon as I opened my damn mouth, it all went right out.
You're not supposed to lie to the listeners.
But lying is so much fun.
Character did it all.
All right, put your character away for like 2 seconds.
Have you ever thought about how fun it is to shape the narrative regardless of reality?
It turns out that Lucian Donahue, like Dakota doesn't even know he's a voice actor.
No,
We just put him in front of a mic.
But no, yeah, Chris approached me like before he even brought it up because like we've played a couple of like role playing games in the past, and like he was just pleased with my my role playing skills and like my commitment to the bit. Like we always commit to bits. That's the thing.
Gotta commit.
Gotta commit. And then yeah, he asked me if I wanted to be a part of it, and I said absolutely. And he sent me a couple of character profiles on things that he thought I could fit. And I sent him a couple of monologues, which, by the way, fantastically professional move, frickin' on your part. And
I will choose to take that as a compliment. Everyone knows how I feel about the word professional.
It's actually very professional of you. No.
He started bleeding from his eyes right now.
And I am writing you out of my will.
But yeah, no. So that's how I got involved, and my advice is. Once you get like a taste of something creative like this that like really speaks to you, like voice acting kind of has for me, just like keep a journal of ideas of things that you would want to create, whether it be audio, visual, yada yada, and then just like start doing some research on how to do those things, working with different programs, all that fun stuff, and then you can revisit those ideas, hone them down, turn them from the rough cut diamonds into the pristine princess cuts that you aim to be.
Yeah. And I want to say too, you bring up a really good point, like in terms of like writing like videos and things you want to like learn how to do. Learning is a huge part of it, as I mentioned. Thankfully, we live in an age of Google, so like, and YouTube. So if you don't know how to do something, like that's not really reason like, oh, I don't know how to do XYZ. You could always learn how.
Mm-hmm. All right, my turn. I got involved with the patient files kind of accidentally. It was more of a spot on, like random spot thing. Chris and I met at school to the point where he was talking about the patient files, and I was like, oh, interesting, because I was like, I want to hear more about this, and he was like, I need someone to really just take a look over this kind of, I think it was the audition stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And he's like, I really need an editor. I'm like, I got you. But originally he was like, I'm going to pay you. I'm like, no. He's like, no, I'm going to pay you. I'm like, no. And now that like I said it twice, I have to say yes the next time. Mm-hmm. So that's how that began. And after that, I put in an audition because I was always so interested in it. And I kept kind of sparking interest with Chris on many different talks. Because I joined as an editor, and which, by the way, similar to Chris, I forgot to mention editor myself, as in my roles here at Clear Minds, or Dog Papers Entertainment.
Same.
But, yeah, I started at episode 3 with editing, and then I took an audition after that and became a voice in episode 7. So that was something I enjoyed, and that's how I became part of this project. And now I've gotten my hands dealt in a lot more than just this tiny project. I say tiny because it is tiny at the moment.
Yeah, but
it's growing,
it feels bigger.
Well, should I have mentioned at this point that I assist in world building and storyboarding or something?
No, not really. No, you don't. No.
Who are you? No, it's... And honestly, one thing I would like to do is take an opportunity to say thank you guys also for this, because without you all here, we couldn't grow from something very tiny to something potentially becoming a lot bigger. So thank you. Any advice I give on that, I would say don't let your mind trick you into not seeking passion. Mm-hmm. If someone brings up something that's interesting to you, help them grow it. Help them pursue it. If anything, you are important too. And if you didn't need to hear that before, you're hearing it now. Live. I'm kidding.
You deserve good things, and you can make good things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe in you.
Don't believe in yourself. Believe in me. That believes in you.
Dear listener, on the other end of this phone or computer or whatever you're listening on, You're the chosen one.
Listen,
You may think we're not talking about you, but we are. Everybody's like, that's not me. No, it's you.
yeah,
It is.
but like for real talk, we are talking to you, James.
Or John.
Well, like now it's funny because it's like most people are. I'm not James, but like that one James is like, oh.
Yeah, no,
Meanwhile,
it's only that one particular James and or John.
Well, I mean, we already know that we have a James Spooky guy.
Oh,
James Spooky Guy. We got a voice actor named James.
Oh, you're gonna love this next username.
Oh no.
It's John James, isn't it?
But I digress by saying, please just pursue your passion. That is the most important thing that you can do if you ever want to start a project or anything. Just your passion's important, and you should go for it.
all right.
Okay, and that's the full circle, so we can move on to the next question. This one from not a skinwalker this time.
This time, this time.
I was worried about that. I'm glad that they cleared that up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
What
for
about
easing our
tomorrow?
worries. This question's for Dalton.
Oh hi.
Are you scared yet?
Not this time.
Is that the question?
You only have one story. How did this happen? What was your inspiration?
I think I gave a little bit of an answer on this in a previous question, but I do have more stories, guys. But it's fair.
You
just have to pay for them.
You just have to go to the Patreon.
Yeah. I'm not saying pay for my stories, but they are worth it.
Absolutely.
But you guys, you're right. I only have one story technically in the patient files, and it's the inner story on episode 16, which is
Conformity.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I made that name too. Interestingly enough.
That wasn't the original name. Do you want to tell them what the original name was?
Love Boat.
Yeah.
If you listen to episode 16, and if you're here right now and you haven't listened to episode 16, I'm gonna be like, one, why? But you would know immediately it has nothing to do with love, but it does have something to do with a boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only wrote one story for the main patient files. I hope to write more. I have a lot of inspiration, but I do write a lot of other stories, including the main series H-Grade Investigations, which I have been thoroughly enjoying and pulling my hair out at the same time with. But again, my inspiration for that, to answer that just briefly, is my past experience on a cruise and just boat, I guess in general, kind of influenced the idea and storyline of that. Did I witness somebody dying on a cruise? No! No, I did not!
We can't afford a cruise.
Well, technically, Cameron didn't witness anybody dying.
He did. Oh, he did not dying. He did find somebody dead.
Yeah. And then they were gone.
Then they were gone.
Like that whole hallway was gone.
But it's actually kind of an interesting thing too. That Chris mentioned earlier that he focuses on mental disorders and or things to basically do for his episodes and for the patient's files specifically. I actually chose rehabilitation as a thing, as you can probably see from subtle things like the Mai Tais and other things like that.
I see. Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I did really like that story, and I absolutely will be throwing you more to write in the patient files.
Yeah.
But you know me, I have so many ideas that I'm just like, yeah, eventually, yeah, eventually, and like, you know, I'm like, well, season's done. Oops. So.
But we got more. We got more.
That's
planned,
true.
So
So we have a lot more planned.
Okay, moving on. Let's hope it continues to not be a skinwalker. Raging Banana Peel has a question for Dakota. Marshall is such a cool concept, and I loved the voice you chose. Honestly, the only question I have is, can you do it for me, please?
Most certainly. But actually, did you end up putting my name in the credits for that episode for Marshall?
No.
I listened to it like several, because that's the one I show people whenever I have to show them the episode, and I'm just like, oh, and this is my voice, and then the credits come, I'm just like,
To be fair, I think like at the beginning, like credits sometimes, like I never knew if I should include like who's ever doing the monologue, like the reading into the episode, and it didn't even occur to me to do Marshall, but then I did do Caliban, but then I like didn't do like this one, and like I think moving forward I need to be like
you, in episode 7 you credited me as Olin.
yeah. So I think my fault. I think obviously moving forward I'll make sure that our credits are up to date with everyone who was involved and exactly where they were involved.
good, it's only proper.
Good ear though to recognize Marshall is Back to Dakota.
Yes, thank you very much so. It's very, very warms my heart to know that people recognize me without me being credited.
Okay, now do the other Marshall voice.
Oh, where are you people? Why does this keep happening?
Oh, I love
We did not kidnap somebody for that. You did it? Okay.
Back in the basement.
So, up next we've got a handful of questions that were asked by a multitude of people, so we've just kind of bundled them together into a bit of a lightning round. And once we're through these, that'll be the end of this Q&A. So first up, we had a lot of people ask us in one form of another for everyone. What are your favorite types of horror?
Ooh, that's a good one. So there are two legs of horror. There is the paranormal, the ghosts, the spirits. It's the supernatural horror. And then you have the real horror. Like, it could happen to me type horror, like slashers, serial killers, etc. I definitely lean towards the supernatural, but to be more specific, anything that breaks our current understanding. Like, whether it's Cthulhu-esque based mentality, control, SCP files, anything that says, hey, your understanding of time and reality, that doesn't work here. That is so terrifying and intriguing to me. So I would say that's my favorite.
Yeah, I think I love psychological horror the most, because the great thing about psychological horror is that it can actually fit under the umbrella of a lot of other types of horror. Psychological horror can be a slasher type thriller. Like, I consider the latter half of Texas Chainsaw Massacre to be a bit of a psychological horror. And likewise, a lot of paranormal horrors can be psychological, like Paranormal Activity. And those are, I think, have equal merit to me. And I just love the ones, and similar to you, like the sort of the Lovecraftian type horror is like especially delicious with how it is psychologically gets to you, where it gets into like the madness of understanding and the madness of choice and stuff like that. All that great stuff.
Give me the Yellow King any day. Yeah.
I'm particularly fond of things like
King and Yellow. You're right.
body horror, taboos, and like the human condition exploration kind of stuff. Just like the most heinous of things that you could do to someone, just because it can serve as such a system shock to snap you out of the everyday. Just like that's why, like, there's a question later that this will be the answer to, but something about like a cannibalism story, it just really makes me like, oh my god.
No, that's a good answer.
I think my favorite types of horror, psychological is up there indeed. There's kind of like a subgenre in that I like to consider that might exist actually, but I don't know. But it's like the isolated horror, like the one where it's a single protagonist against the world. Primary examples are being Outlast the game, where you're a journalist sneaking into an insane asylum that's had so many science experiments done on the patients that they have broken free and hell's broken loose.
Right. Check it out.
How do you feel about Evil Dead?
I like Evil Dead. It is very... I haven't seen the full series, but I did see the first one and the remake. Bruce Campbell definitely is... I think he is the one who actually like made the series for me. But on top of that, a recent movie actually that I thought was very good. That did have like a couple of moments that actually genuinely scared me, but just again that isolationist horror. No One Will Save You on Hulu. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's literally only 2 lines of dialogue in the whole movie, which I appreciate.
That's cool.
And they're not even like full lines.
Risky.
Yeah, they're not even full lines really. Most of which are taking place in the protagonist's like head. Yeah, that one's a good one if you haven't checked it out yet. And then the second branch of horror that I really like is kind of like magic occult horror, like As Above, So Below.
Oh,
That
yeah,
one,
yeah.
that like hits all the buttons for
Is
me.
that the one about the Paris catacombs?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The sound designing in that one was great. The pacing of it, the
Yeah,
character
I did
development,
that.
it was.
Shout out to our French listeners.
Yeah, that one that's one of my favorite movies. Even if it's like maybe not like objectively the best, it's subjectively my favorite.
Yeah.
Dalton?
In terms of horror, I would say real life. Real life. I'm kidding.
I wake up in a horror, baby.
I wake up, I'm so scared.
Every
That's
day
the
of my
only-
life
that's
is
the
a
only kind of
nightmare.
horror I don't like.
That's what I'm trying to escape from.
Taxes, no!
I knew it. The IRS, the city is here. I'll be real on this. I actually am not a huge fan of horror. In fact, I'm very scared of a boy here. I'm kidding. But no, I don't like it. But if I had to say if I had a favorite genre, because I have seen things like The Conjuring, I have seen things like a lot of slasher movies and things like that. I would agree with Peter, though, on the idea of psychological horror. It may not seem like a horror movie outright, but the ability that your mind isn't where you are is just crazy. American Psycho, for me, is that.
Yeah.
That was where
yeah,
I was going to come
that's
up.
a
I
good one.
agree.
I loved American Psycho because at one point is the movie actually the movie anymore?
Right.
Yeah.
So if
Sure.
you can trick your viewer and or listener into something that can basically you don't know how it is, it gets really weirded out like that.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Okay. Moving on to the next. Who is your favorite author or favorite book? This is for everyone. We want to just go around the circle again? Because I already have my answer.
Then go ahead.
Yeah.
My favorite book is called Sharp Teeth by Toby Barlow. I just told Chris about this one recently. It's a relatively short novel. It's written entirely in verse. So it is a novel-length poem. And it's basically what happens if you put a werewolf cult in Grand Theft Auto. It doesn't have a main character. There's like 2 characters who even have names throughout the whole book. And it's fantastic. It has so many messages about, I had the words. It has messages regarding like homophobia, the brainwashing of cults, the depletion of resources by human greed. Fantastic book. I recommend it to anyone.
My answer is going to be very boring because a lot of my favorite books are very mainstream. For instance, you may have noticed earlier, I am a big fan of A Song of Ice and Fire, George R.R. Martin.
Is that why you dress like him?
Oh my god, if only this was visually, we could show like a picture.
I've been taking pictures this whole time.
Oh, there we go.
Cameras.
That's so fucking funny. Sure, yeah. I have suspenders and I'm wearing an ascot cap everywhere. and I also have a beard. So,
Yeah, that's all you need. That's it.
yeah,
That's the cosplay.
and I'm fat. So
When I take him to the grocery store, people have to stop. I have to stop him from like signing people's books. Like I have
it's
to.
true. It's true. Yeah. I keep on thinking that they're just Patient Files fans, but no, they keep on getting me to sign a Game of Thrones.
That's when you start using that to be like, you know what I recommend?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Elden Ring.
No. Very, very boring opinion. But listen, it's popular for a reason. It's a beautiful story. It's a horrific story, and I just I get swept up in it all the time. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, so this is a difficult question for me because so many. But I'm going to sound incredibly cliche here for a horror writer. M.R. James B. Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe. Like, those were a lot of cornerstones for me growing up. And so, like, not that I'm, like, super... It's not like I was there with M.R. James or anything like that. It's more of, like, those were the books I had. and that definitely influenced my outlook and my view on things, and I have some sort of nostalgia there. But on the flip side, I definitely will read a book if it's recommended to me, or if it's given, or if it's in my genre. But I now really enjoy consuming like media that is current, whether it's by like certain audio dramas that I really, really love, and stuff of that nature. But in terms of my favorite author, that's a hard one. I'm just going to say those three are pretty up there. I'm not going to make... I don't want one to be jealous.
Now that you bring up Edgar Allan Poe, it's kind of messed up that our middle school had us read Cask of Amontillado.
Yeah.
that story's messed up.
Yeah. Sure,
Middle school, yeah. I read that in high school, not middle school.
Yeah.
Yes, Edgar Allan Poe, totally not being something taught by me at any point.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my kind of thing. So,
well, I might have to show my hand here. I suck at reading novels. Just in general, I've been getting into audiobooks more and more, but I think the last book that I actually, or like novel, maybe if you call it that I actually like read was
Green Eggs and Ham.
Sorry. Was The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. That one was
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells with that story alone pretty much has made them my favorite author.
H.G. Wells was great.
Just because their pacing and their imagery is right up my little ADHD alley.
Yeah.
And yeah, but obviously, like, I do like some of the short form poetry of Edgar Allan Poe, which I do share a birthday with.
Oh my god, you're so edgy.
And Dolly Parton.
And Dolly Parton, and Utada Hikaru, and Paula Deen. But this isn't about my birthday that just passed.
I share a birthday with the third Hokage, Chris Griffin, so...
Well, I was born on December 25th.
Oh, who was born on then?
Not Jesus.
Not Jesus.
Who's that?
It's Jesus' knockoff.
I share a birthday with Tax Day.
Oh my god! You win the trauma off.
Yeah,
you win the trauma off.
As I said, horror, real life.
So I'm just gonna pass over the writing to you.
Okay.
But yeah.
Dalton, your turn. Favorite author, favorite book.
Oh, that's an easy one for me.
I
It's
know
the Count of
Yep, I knew it.
You knew it right away. It's The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. I love the novel mainly because it is a fantastic revenge story overall that has tons of different genres and themes throughout, and what happens to each and every character in it is otherwise resolved and or shown and dealt with in a different kind of way. And what I love most about novels and things like is characters and what happens to them. Like, that's what I love, and that book hit it right on the nail for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he lives his life with Count of Monte Cristo being like the blueprint for how he makes all of his decisions. He tries to live like Edmond Dantes, and Dalton is the most vindictive.
What?
Like, to be
Slander.
Yeah, to be fair, like, we're all afraid of Dalton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, be afraid of this voice.
Oh, I am.
We wonder who Illusion was based off of.